Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm really excited to do a different kind of video that I've done on this channel, but still kind of in the vein of things that I like, and that is a 3D walk down memory lane, basically, of all the different things that I've been able to enjoy over the last, X amount of years that, bring 3D to light. For those of you guys who think 3D is dying, 3D is actually, very much alive in very different ways here, and some of the things that you guys have seen, some of the products that I've got to try, it kind of showcases that 3D is kind of making a resurgence in some ways. Obviously we know 3D TVs and stuff like that kind of died out. Obviously we can still see 3D movies in theaters and stuff like that. But there's some really cool technology coming out nowadays that is 3D. And this is kind of a video of me going from the very beginning of things that I, did with 3D and things that I like, all the way up to things that you can do today and the different pieces of technology to kind of showcase all the different technology that I love that do 3D today that maybe inspires you guys to maybe get back into 3D, and maybe we can really push this resurgence on for 3D, because you guys know on this channel I love 3D. It's one of the things that I've done a lot on this channel. I've talked a lot about 3D in the past, and I figured this is like a one-encompassing video of basically every product that I own that kind of does 3D from the beginning till now, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what these products are, what they do, how good their 3D is, and all that kind of stuff that kind of brings you down memory lane, and encourage you guys to maybe try some of these products for yourself if you're huge fans of 3D. But I will tell you, 3D is definitely here to stay. There's a lot of things going on in the space, but let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
All right, guys, so the first product we got to talk about here is the Virtual Boy. I mean, I have a Virtual Boy sitting right here, as you guys are looking at, with the controller and everything. And this is the original Virtual Boy that obviously came out from Nintendo back in the day. And it kind of gave us a look into what 3D technology could look like, where you actually went in there, you put a headset on, kind of like what VR headsets do. And you could actually watch, content in there and play games in 3D. Problem was, two things. One, it wasn't popular enough, so we only got, I think, 13 US releases in total that ever came out for the system. You can see I own 6 of them here. Mario Tennis, we got Warrior Lands here in the box, so those are some cool ones there. We also got Nestor's Funky Bowling, which is a really sought after one. We got Mario Clash, so they did make a Mario game on the system as well. Galactic Pinball we have right here in the box as well. And then we also have Vertical Force. So I do want to get a complete set one day. And then we have Mario Tennis sitting in the front. But yeah, there isn't a big library for this thing. There's only 13 games that ever came out, and a lot of them are getting really expensive. But the other problem with the system as well is that everything was in red. So when I tell you everything is in red, and I wish I could show you in this video, here's a clip of, the Virtual Boy running so you can get an idea. But the Virtual Boy was basically just a 3D, when you were watching 3D, but all the games were in color, were in red. So when you played Mario Tennis and stuff, literally all you saw was red, no other colors. Which obviously didn't bolt for great, and a lot of people got headaches from it and stuff like that. So obviously it came out, and came out with Nintendo. It was one of their first systems, and a lot of people just didn't enjoy it because of those reasons. But it's still something I, fancy in my collection, because it was kind of the first foray into people seeing what virtual reality can do and what 3D was like back then with a headset like this. So it's still a really cool piece of technology. And if you're into 3D, it's definitely something worth to check out, as long as you're okay with those caveats that we just talked about. But Virtual Boy is definitely something that I definitely enjoy having in my collection. Moving on from that, then we go into the Nvidia 3D. This is the Nvidia 3D Vision, which a lot of us know back in the day, and I liked it so much back in the day. It was the first thing that I really got into. I remember when I first bought a PC specifically for 3D, me and my friend got one. We were enamored with the technology. Here's the Asus 27-inch monitor that I have for 3D right here, and this is my specific PC build, because I've done a lot of videos on this. I've done actually an updated video every year because things change on this all the time. But I have a dedicated PC build to play a lot of those older 3D Vision games that just work better on the graphics cards. You can go up to a 2080 Ti, and that's what I have in here. I have a 2080 Ti to get the most amount of power. You could now, and I've done a video on this, use a 4080 or a 3080 or whatever, and run some of these games in 3D using, software that the community is making, because the community is keeping this stuff alive now. And I have done it before on this PC, but to have the most capability or compatibility, I chose to have a dedicated PC build. And these are the Nvidia 3D glasses right here that we all remember. How many of you guys actually remember these 3D glasses right here. I mean, who doesn't remember these 3D glasses? And this is the Vision Pro. Sorry, this is the Nvidia 3D Vision 2. Remember, there was two different ones, and these are the original pairs of glasses. I don't know if maybe these are the ones that a lot of you guys remember right here, with the green on the back there, and then these glasses here on the front. These were the original ones, and then they made the second version there, and the second version allowed more light to go through it and stuff like that. But this creates such a great gaming experience because you're obviously using the power of PC. And let's not forget the dongle that you need, which is kind of hiding behind here right now for me. That's sitting right there is the little puck that's kind of sitting behind my speaker there. As you guys can see, a little triangle that connected via USB. That's what you would have to wear these glasses, unless if they were built into the monitor. This is probably the best monitor you can get for 3D vision, that came out, because it used the technology of the second version, and it was 1440p as well. So you got the higher graphics. Obviously, it makes the games more demanding than playing it in 1080p, but it was still really cool. And again, I've done a lot of videos on the NVIDIA 3D Vision if you guys want to check them out on this channel, so I'm not going to go at length on this, but I love the NVIDIA 3D Vision. Obviously, I created a dedicated PC for it, so it's not a surprise. And I love 3D gaming, and using this on the PC is definitely one of my favorite things to do. I think this technology started off in 2009 or 2008, and then died out when Nvidia discontinued it, which was really unfortunate, but the community is keeping it alive. We have a lot of games, even games that have come out today, that sometimes get 3D support thanks to all the fixes that community is making, and it's just really cool stuff, and I love having a 3D dedicated setup with NVIDIA 3D Vision here in the game room. Now, the next thing here that we got to talk about is, of course, my LG 4K E6 3D TV that you guys are looking at right here. And this is the last 3D TV that was made before 3D TVs kind of got discontinued. And unfortunately, this is probably the best that no one ever got to see, because what happens with 3D is that this is a 4K TV. It was really good, and it's an OLED panel. So not only is it a 4K TV, which we'll get into why that matters in a minute, but it's an OLED panel. So you got the great blacks and the great colors and everything pops and stuff like that on this TV right here, which is fantastic to watch 3D movies. But because it's 4K, when you watch a 1080p Blu-ray, you actually get the full 1080p signal per eye on these 3D glasses that you didn't get when you had a 1080p TV, which most of them were back in the day with those 3D TVs, because they would have to do some changes there to get that image to actually fit correctly, so you would lose either horizontal or vertically depending on the technology of the 3D, which obviously made the resolution and stuff not look as good. But this is the best 3D TV the best 3D experience to watch movies at home right now, with a large group setting and stuff like that, is this right here. Unfortunately, it's hard to get these TVs in your hand, and a lot of them, since they're OLEDs, have a lot of issues with them because of, burn-in and stuff like that when people were just watching the same channel over and over again. I got lucky that I got this one, and it's 95% perfect. There's still a little bit of burn-in, even though you haven't seen it on this video yet. But depending on the colors on the screen, you see a little bit, especially on the reds. But it's very minimal compared to most of these TVs, and I'm super happy. It rarely appears while watching movies and stuff. But this is an experience that nobody unfortunately had back in the day, and it's really sad because this is the high standard that 3D had when 3D was just getting good, and then it kind of died out at the same time. Because if people watched 3D on these TVs, they would have had a different experience. I mean, I was watching Avatar Way in the Water right here on this TV, and it is breathtaking on how good it looks on this TV. It's like watching it in the cinema. And then you have these passive glasses that, I've talked about these before, but they're thin, they don't weigh anything, there's no rechargeable batteries or anything. They're the same glasses you wear in the theaters, so they weigh like nothing, and it's easy to put on over glasses, whatever. It just made for a much more comfortable experience to wear these glasses. And I showed my family this TV, and I showed them some clips from movies, and they said the same thing. The glasses barely feel like they're on your face, and if 3D looked this good, then 3D would have caught on with more people in the home. But the problem was that, glasses were clunky. You had to recharge them all the time. Some of the 3D movies were coming out and they weren't done really well because they were just being transcoded to 3D and not done, from the beginning of it. So they got lazy with that stuff. And again, the TVs weren't as good as they could be, and then this thing came out. But I'm super happy to have this in my collection. I've done a full video on this as well, but it's super cool, super happy to have a TV like this where I can watch, my 3D collection. I have a huge 3D collection here. You can see my little sign. I just really love 3D movies, okay? Facts. And you can see my favorite 3D movies here. Titanic, I love that movie in 3D. Avatar, of course. And then Avengers Endgame kind of sitting there in the middle. I have, as you can see, these glasses sitting right here. That you can do, and this TV does do gaming on it as well. So I have my PS3 hooked up, And I can play 3D games on that on a giant 65-inch screen, which is amazing with OLED colors and OLED blacks and stuff like that. It's just an amazing TV to play 3D content on. And this is my collection of 3D movies, and this is expanding all the time because I still buy more all the time that I can get my hands on, even though some of them are getting expensive now because, you know, you have to import most of them. Avatar Way of the Water was literally the first 3D Blu-ray release in the US for a long time. Thank you, James Cameron and Disney, for letting that happen. But yeah, that is the LG E6 TV that I have here. If you can get your hands on one of these and you love 3D, it is the best movie watching experience you could have in your home with glasses like this, and it is fantastic. The next thing I got to talk about is, of course, the Nintendo 3DS. This is another way to experience 3D, but this kind of changed the game because, of course, now we're getting into territory where you didn't have to have anything on your face. You literally just had the 3DS in your hand and you could play 3D games on it. And this is my 3DS here. I have two, as you can see here. I have a 3DS there as well, Super Smash, and then I have this 3DS. And I have a 2DS sitting over there as well, which didn't have any 3D. But this is my collection right here. I have a lot of 3D movies, and I've done a top 10 3D games on the 3DS because I love it. So if you guys want to search for that video, I've done a list of that. I have my Nintendo 3DS right here. And what set this 3D apart, first of all, Nintendo kind of also messed up a little bit with the 3D when it first came out. It was kind of the same thing because when the 3D version of these 3DSs came out, they had version 1. And version 1 was the one that you couldn't, you know, when you used it, and it's hard to show off in this video, but when you had it, and you had to be completely centered with it in your hand. So you had to have your face directly centered to that camera. And if you moved it anywhere, then you would lose 3D and you wouldn't be able to see the picture at all. So obviously it ruined it for a lot of people. And since there was a slider to turn 3D off, a lot of people just ended up turning it off. And that's why they came out with the 2DS that I have sitting over here, because, you know, people were just turning off the 3D, and Nintendo didn't want to make 3D games wasting their efforts if the people weren't using it. But luckily, the majority of the library does support 3D, thank God. But in the tail end of its life cycle, that's kind of what happened. But they also came out with version 2. And version 2, with the 3D, did so much better. You can actually move it around a little bit. It kept your tracking of your head much better. It's what version 1 should have been. And then a lot of people ended up liking it, but unfortunately people were so used to not using 3D anymore that they kind of stopped caring. But this is glasses-free 3D, and it is no joke. Really, really good. I mean, it's nothing short of amazing what they accomplished with this. The fact that you didn't have to wear glasses in 3D for people who, like me, who love 3D. You know, it was an awesome experience for sure, and that's exactly why I still keep my 3DS around, because there's a lot of great games that Nintendo made for the 3DS that are in 3D. Some of them, you know, like I talked about in my top 10 video, are only good because of the fact that they're in 3D. They add that much more depth, that much more fun to the game, and it's just a fantastic experience that, you know, a lot of people got to try, but a lot of people gave up on too soon before that version 2 came out. And I don't know if anyone else does, but I don't get any headaches with it or anything like that. I love the 3DS, gigantic catalog to play all these 3D games that will always have a place in my collection, especially because it's Nintendo games that were specifically made in 3D, and that's not something easy to come by in any other way. So awesome to have the 3DS as part of my 3D collection. And then, of course, we got to talk about VR a little bit, because VR, like I said, is kind of an extension of 3D. Yes, it's VR, you got a headset on and stuff like that, but once you're in the headset, you're basically in a 3D environment. It's the next evolution of 3D. So there's no way I wasn't going to mention it, because that's why I love, that's why I love VR so much, because it reminds me of 3D with the headset on. I feel like I'm in these worlds more than, you know, you ever could be. So that's why VR has a special place, and you can see I have a dedicated section to it with my PSVR sitting right here, PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 right there with the mascot, and then we got my Oculus Quest Pro sitting right there, and then the Oculus Quest 2 also sitting right there. I can't wait for the Oculus Quest 3 to come out and experience that. And then, of course, I don't have a PC VR headset right now because I'm selling my HTC Vive Pro 2 because I ordered a big screen, and I can't wait for that. And I will be getting an Apple Vision Pro, hopefully get my hands on it for you guys to review. I'm trying to save up my pennies for that now. And, you know, I built a dedicated PC that I showed off recently, and half of that reason is because I love PC VR. And, you know, getting those crazy graphics on that. So I can't wait to couple, you know, my big screen Beyond headset when that comes in, and trying that for the first time. I can't wait to see how good that looks on a 4090 and stuff like that, and replaying some of these games, you know, in its glory. But guys, You know, VR is definitely an extension to 3D. If you guys like 3D, I understand you got to wear a headset and it's not obviously exactly the same, but I still think it has a fit into it because it's kind of the next step. And I love VR for that reason because it gives me those 3D, you know, that 3D vibe with just being more immersed. But of course, you have to be in a headset. You're not going to be doing it, you know, with just a pair of really thin glasses, at least not anytime soon. You are going to be wearing a big headset. So, you know, there obviously is two sides to that. And then, of course, we got to talk about the LoomPad 2. The LoomPad 2 is a piece of technology that I talked about a lot in my last few videos. I've done a full review on this. I've done an unboxing on this if you guys want to check it out on the channel as well. But the LoomPad 2 is essentially an Android tablet, and it's kind of the evolution of what the 3DS is. As you can see here, when you log into the tablet, it's kind of the same idea of the 3DS, but just into the 21st century technology with a lot of cool stuff that I talked about in my review video, where you can, for the first time, a device actually shipping with 3D chat, so you can actually have, you know, 3D chat with other people and actually be in 3D, which is a super cool experience. If you haven't seen my video on that, where you can actually, you know, have 3D FaceTime calls essentially, or video chats with other people and be in 3D. And then of course it has 3D games that have been developed on here. It has a 3D camera, so you can take 3D pictures anywhere you go. And the 3D pictures actually look really good if they're taken in well lit light, which is awesome. And it's glasses free. It's the same exact idea, but now we're talking about taking something portably. So as much as I love my LG E6 downstairs, it's obviously a 65-inch TV. You're meant to watch that at home. You're not going to be taking that anywhere with you. Now I have a 3D experience like the 3DS, but I can take this anywhere on the go, where I have a full Android tablet, full, like, you know, 12-inch screen that you have on here, where I can watch 3D movies. I can take 3D pictures. You know, I can have 3D video chats, and this is using 3D light field technology, and this is their version 2. That's why it's called the LoomPad 2, of course. And I talked about all of this in my review, but they've done a lot of improvements too, where the head tracking is way better now when it comes to watching 3D movies. And what's really awesome about this device is that the content doesn't even need to be made specifically for 3D. They have a piece of technology in here that actually converts things on the fly through their Leia player, which is awesome. That, you know, you could do things from YouTube and stuff, and you can click on the share button on YouTube and share it right to Leia player, and it will actually play the video right off the bat, and you can be watching it in 3D, and it does a really convincing job. Unfortunately, I can't show it in this video because it's impossible for me to show you the 3D, but let me tell you guys, it's a really convincing, you know, 3D image. There's some depth added to those videos, and it's crazy how good that does for basically it converting it on the fly. So you don't have to just limit yourself to the 3D movies that are out there. Now you can pretty much watch anything on YouTube and stuff like that in 3D, which is awesome. And there's not any other devices out there that, you know, let you do this in such a portable scale with such a nice, you know, screen, all these features, and playing games and watching videos and taking pictures with the camera and stuff like that. This is an awesome piece of technology if you're into 3D and you love 3D movies and that's your priority number one. Watch my review on this. It's an awesome device to be able to watch 3D movies and without glasses, and it does a fantastic job. I did watch Avatar Way in the Water on here, and it looked amazing on this 12-inch screen to be able to watch a movie like that, you know, on a resolution like this on this tablet that's on here. Again, watch my full review. But LoomPad 2, fantastic. And something that's really brand new, so brand new that I literally just got it, you know, a day before recording this video or posting this video, is the Tilt 5 augmented reality system. Now, yes, augmented reality is obviously augmented reality. We all know that. It's AR. We've seen it and stuff like that. But this is 3D also, and I'm going to explain it to you guys as best I can. I just started playing with this 24 hours ago, but it had to be included in this video because, again, this is the next progression of what 3D is like. So you can see here on the setup of this table, and I'm going to do a full review on this in a couple of days, so definitely stay tuned and subscribe to this channel if you guys want to know my opinions on the Tilt 5 and everything about it. But basically, you have this gigantic board right here, and you can see this right here on my table. You could get a smaller version if you want, but the box comes with this longer version, and you can tilt it up on the back or lay it flat depending on what you want to do. And then you have these glasses. You can buy them single, or you can buy 2 pairs, 3 pairs, or 4 pairs. I bought 2 pairs, and you can see that they're connected and stuff like that. And it uses a Windows PC. They're working on Android support and other support as well. But right now, the one that's fully featured is Windows. So I actually have my Asus Ally, which you guys have seen a video review on, and I have a USB hub that I got that I'm currently testing, and it seems to be working well. That will essentially let me keep charging the Asus Ally, but also plug in the glasses because they plug in via USB-C, as you guys can see here, into this PC, and then you can see AR. And basically what happens is, and right now I can't show you this in the video, but I'll put up a trailer of what this is looking like, what you see. But basically now this turns into AR. and you can actually see 3D. And when I'm telling you, like when you're looking down at here, you actually see, like you actually at depth, like there's something in the table and you actually see depth below. Things pop off, and like I've had a couple of rockets thrown at me and stuff like that in a game, and it kind of flies at your face like off the screen. It's really, really cool. I have to dive more into it, and I'll have my full review on this later on, but I at least wanted to mention it in this video, even though it's a little bit fresh because I've only played with it, for a few hours so far. But definitely had to be included in this video because it's 3D. It's another way to experience 3D. It's essentially what it is. You put these glasses on and you're watching and you're obviously playing AR games and stuff like that, but it's all in 3D on the screen, and you can play with multiple people too. That's why there's 2 glasses. You can play with up to 4. Some games let you play online. Some games you can have 4 players locally, and you're all looking at the screen. They have a couple of board games so far. They have Catan releasing really soon. They released Takenoko and a bunch of other games. Like I said, there'll be a full video on this, and there's some wands here that you use like a controller that we got to talk about. But this is just another way to experience 3D. And again, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel if you guys want to see the full review on this, because I have a lot to say when I play through this more throughout the week. But this is a fantastic device so far, and I'm really impressed with it. I got some thoughts on it. But yeah, it's fantastic to be able to have something else in the house that I can experience 3D with. I mean, there's obviously I showed you guys a variety of ways already on how you can experience 3D in different ways and what ways interest you on different things. Maybe you like movies, you got the LoomPad 2. Maybe you like a little bit of both and you get that, or you want just straight up gaming, then you have something like this where you can share it with other people and play games like in board game form and stuff like that. Or you want to, get the big boy LG E6 TV and really have a movie watching party with 3D content like that. Or you want to build a 3D vision computer because you want the power of a PC. All of that available is to you. But let's go ahead and wrap up my thoughts on everything I showed you guys in the video. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video on the 3D landscape of everything that I've tried in 3D. There's so many cool pieces of technology out there that are available in 3D now. I mean, who could have thought that I could have watched a 3D movie on the go with no glasses on a tablet anywhere I want at any time? It's awesome. It's an awesome experience on the LoomPad 2 that I showed you guys there, that I could do that anywhere and take it with me, and I could still have that 3D experience, with movies. Or if I want to play 3D gaming everywhere I want to go in a small portable form factor, the 3DS is still there with countless games to play in 3D that we can, experience forever. And if you want to take it a step further and you want to showcase 3D in a really cool new way, when your friends come over and stuff, show them the Tilt 5 system, because again, full review coming on that later this week. But that thing does 3D really cool, and I have a lot to say about that when I do my review. And not only that, but VR is, even though VR is VR, you got to remember that VR is essentially you're in a 3D world. It's essentially the same thing. It's the evolution of it. So I think about VR as 3D as well. It's just that, you have to have a headset on, so it's a little bit different. Obviously, having 3D with just looking at a TV screen where it's more social when people are over your house is obviously a different thing, but they're kind of all in the same universe where we have many different forms and many different products kind of out there showcasing 3D to us that I wanted to showcase to you guys today. Hopefully that gets you guys going and lets you know that, 3D is definitely here to stay. Not only is it still movies that you can see in 3D, we just got Avatar to release in 3D on Blu-ray, which was fantastic. LoomPad 2 release that we talked about, adding, 3D technology to it. Tilt 5 is up and coming. The Apple Vision Pro is going to be coming next year, and they're touting, 3D movies and stuff. That is probably going to be the best way to watch 3D movies, bar none, if you can believe what they're saying. And the specs on that device, we'll have to see when that happens. But all of that stuff is obviously keeping 3D alive, and I'm definitely excited about it. I'm hoping that, eventually we get a resurgence where people are making 3D movies and really paying attention, kind of like how Avatar did it. Avatar Way of the Water, they know what 3D is. They did 3D in that movie super well, just like they did in the first one, and they didn't just shoehorn it in, which is what I hope we see continue happening, and we get more 3D games and stuff like that, like we used to have on the Nvidia 3D Vision. It's too bad that, PC games don't have native 3D support anymore, but maybe we'll see that come back one day, with full support from a bunch of developers again. I know that there's some stuff out there from like Acer where they have which I haven't gotten to try, that's why it's not in this video, that they have free glasses that you can use a monitor, kind of similar to the LoomPad 2, where you can play 3D games from your monitor and stuff like that. So that's interesting, and maybe one day I'll get to try that. But it's not as simple as 3D Vision. It's not as good from what I heard, so maybe we'll see. But yeah, hopefully that gives you guys a lot of good information about 3D, guys. That's a lot of products I went over. If you guys have questions about any of these different products that you guys have seen in today's video or anything that I showed you, go ahead and leave those comments down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.